Hey everyone, welcome to our Thursday training here on Substack. We are a community of those who are married in relationship with our partner for over 10 years, and we're working on getting out of roommate mode. My name is Katie Rössler, and I'm a relationship strategist with 20 years of experience. I love working with couples who are high achievers, goal driven. Many of the couples I work with are bicultural because I am a bicultural marriage living in Munich, Germany, coming from the States. And I really love helping couples reconnect and rebuild their relationship with all of the wisdom they have gained from the decades they've been together. Because often we stay in the same habits and cycles that we started the first couple years of our relationship, even though we know they don't work. So today we're talking about why good couples end up in roommate mode. Now, if you tuned in last week or if you watched the replay, then you know that we were discussing resentment and how resentment shows up. Resentment's one of those things where it quietly builds up more and more and more, and it can be one of the reasons that we get into roommate mode. So let's talk about, first of all, what roommate mode really is. Because when I say to couples, so you feel like you're roommates, they're like, yes. But they may not jump to that as the first thing that they would say. They might just say, we feel really disconnected. We feel like we can't get on the same page. It feels like we just coexist. It feels like we're really good partners, but not lovers, right? Like we're good at logistics. That's the things that we can do. So one thing we need to understand is that roommate mode is really when we function really well as a team. Bills are paid, food's on the table, people are where they're supposed to be, we've gotten these things taken care of. And yes, sometimes balls get dropped, but in general, that's the mode we stay in together. But connecting and experiencing each other feels uncomfortable. That's where there's this like, I don't want to be vulnerable with you. When you're stressed and angry and upset, you bring up stuff that I've shared that was like really meant something to me. Or you treat me in such a way that I've shared with you, hey, I don't like this, right? So we start to put up walls, and project mode and roommate mode become a protective buffer around us individually, not around the relationship. So roommate mode is one of the things that we have to understand. It's really about survival mode at one point in our relationship. And for many of us, we need that because of everything that's happening, whether it's moving internationally, um, raising kids, depending on how many kids you have. We have three. And I know for us, from going from two to three, it was like the ultimate survival mode. Losing my mom, having miscarriages, we went into survival mode. It was like back to back events that happened. And there was never a point where we stopped and said, hey, now we can start working on getting out of survival mode because those habits had built up for so many years. We weren't even paying attention anymore. We were in autopilot. So, one thing I want you to understand about roommate mode is it has nothing to do with love. A lot of people equate that. And in fact, this week I was working with a couple, and the discussion was like, should you feel love for your partner? And it was such an interesting discussion because if you look at what the society around us shows us, what movies show us, we should feel in love with our partner. We should feel so connected and just like this harmony all the time. However, the research shows that's actually not typical or normal or even healthy for a couple. We need kind of to ride the waves of feeling disconnected, repairing, and coming back to connection because that's very natural when you've got two individuals who think differently, who feel differently, have different values, different experiences in life. We're going to clash at times. Those things are okay. So being in love is about endorphins and dopamine and the hit and the excitement. And that's why they call it the honeymoon phase in the beginning of the relationship, because we just feel this high and this goodness. We can't wait to see them. We get butterflies, all of this stuff. These are hormonal things. And it's great. It's a wonderful feeling. And sometimes, even decades together with our partner, we can start to bring that feeling back, and it just feels wonderful. But true, actual love is a choice. It's intentional. It is, I'm choosing to stand beside you through the thick and the thin. And yeah, I might have a line in the sand where if you cross this, I can't be with you, but I'm still going to have love for you. We're going to have this history, and I'm going to love many things in that history together, but I don't have to be with you, right? So love is a choice. Love is often intentional choice or an unintentional choice, and we're just sticking around, but we know there's a reason why we're here. Some people like to say it's the kids, or it would be hard to walk away from everything we created. And at the end of the day, there's also that piece of like there is a love for each other. So roommate mode isn't about do we love each other or not. Roommate mode truly is we've gotten into a pattern and cycle of disconnection, of lack of vulnerability, a lack of emotional connection, a lack of really sharing ourselves, and lack of getting to know our partner as well. We'll get into that soon. And that is why we feel like a shell of what we were. So, how do couples get there? I've referenced the fact that when we're in survival mode and many things hit, and in my own marriage, we've had a lot of things come at us in a small amount of time right after moving here to Germany. And it was one of those where, like, you stand up and then the wave crashes you back down. You stand up again and the wave crashes you back down. And a big piece we often don't think about is we all handle stress differently. You might be the type who's like, let's talk about it. Let's make a plan. Let's get in here together and discuss this. Whereas your partner might be the type who's like, cocoon, stay within myself, protect me, stress, this is too much. And those two different ways of handling stress are conflicting. So if you've had fertility issues, if you've had family drama, if you've had career changes and issues, someone lost a job, and you deal with stress differently, it will clash and it will feel like a personal attack instead of, that's just how my partner is. How can we find a middle ground? So that will cause roommate mode. When we handle stress differently and we handle survival mode differently and we clash at it, but we don't know how to talk about it in a healthy way. We don't know how to take ownership for how we are when we're stressed or in survival mode. And we don't know how to find a middle ground. Another thing is that the conversations really start to become more about logistics. Project mode is protection mode. Even though we might fight about who forgot this or that or who was supposed to do this thing, it still is creating connection. It's kind of like a kid. If I don't get positive attention, I'm going for the negative attention. If I can't get positive, loving connection with you because neither of us feel comfortable anymore, well, then we're going to fight about the car. We're going to fight about the kids. We're going to figure out something to fight about. And if you don't fight with me, I'm going to get scared. You don't want connection with me. Well, we got to train our brains that that's really not the type of connection we want. And there are ways to get the connection we want that are healthier, right? That are much more like, ooh, this feels good, and not like, now this hurts. But we don't need to be addicted to the drama of, well, at least we have some type of connection, right? So if we stay in that project mode, which is that protection mode, that will get us into being like roommates. Another thing is when we try to do date nights, and because we argue usually about project mode, or one of us tries to be open and vulnerable, and the other one's like, I'm just not here for this right now because I'm not going to be vulnerable back. We stop doing date nights. We stop doing date connection times, right? We stop being like, hey, I want to know you. I want to do something special with you. Let's try this hobby. Let's do this thing. Because we don't like to do things together anymore. He doesn't like what I like. She doesn't like what I like. Okay. Well, have you tried looking at anything that's a little more neutral that you both are like, I'd be open to doing that? No, because you only want to do what you want and they only want to do what they want. So things like this where we start to go, it's not worth it because we fight anyways, or I don't enjoy it. The next thing is that small disappointments don't get talked about, right? This goes back to that resentment talk last week. So I really encourage you to go back and watch that. When we have expectations, when we have, small disagreements or annoyances or things that it's like, actually, we should really talk about this because this is a pattern of ours. This is something that, is an issue. You could have 100 arguments about different things, but there is one pattern always playing out. And if you can't figure out what that is, then you're always going to have the different arguments and believe it's 100 different things. And then when you fight, you're going to problem stack with 100 different things, but there's a core piece underneath it. When a couple comes to me and they go, "Yeah, we really want to work on our communicating, we're arguing all the time," I go, "Okay, the first few times you meet with me, I'm going to be talking a lot because I'm going to be teaching you. And I'm going to ask a lot of questions because I don't want to hear every fire that gets started between the two of you over the next couple weeks. I want to teach you what's starting the fire every time. I want to help you guys start to discern what are the patterns that create that spark that leads to a big fire and what's putting the fuel on it. I don't want to put out every fire because it's just going to come back. I'm going to teach you how to stop putting the fire there in the first place." So this is the key piece. If we're not learning how to start to have those difficult conversations and how to repair throughout and after, then we're going to stop having those conversations. We're going to avoid them. We're going to procrastinate on them. And it's going to feel like a buildup. And what do we even talk about? I don't even know where to begin. I love when couples say that. I don't even know where to begin. I'm like, no problem. I do. I got you some questions. But when we've had, decades together, where do we even begin? Yeah, I get that. I've been with my partner for 17 years. Where do we even begin? Our pattern. We tend to argue like this, not about this, like this. That's the piece that we have to get to the core of. Or roommate mode will continue to create an emotional divorce between us. Okay. Another thing is that our emotional connection slowly fades when we don't feel safe to talk to our partner because we feel like every time we open up, they get into fix it mode. They roll their eyes and huff and like, this again. They tell us we've done something wrong rather than just listening to us. They try to, my favorite is when couples, one of them is like, see the bright side. It's like, well, why can't we just sit with how your partner feels for this moment before we see the bright side? You might also see like, but you're on the phone when I'm talking to you. You're not even really fully paying attention. There are a lot of couples, and you guys know this, when you share vulnerably, your partner doesn't even look you in the eyes, maybe for a moment, and then they go back to what they were doing. We don't even have the good eye contact that we need to feel emotional connection. So as emotional connection fades, we start to feel roommate mode. So one of the things I want you to be aware of, because it plays off of last week, was with resentment is one of the building blocks of roommate mode. So if you go back and watch that and become a paid subscriber so you can get the workbook on how to deal with resentment, and you and your partner go through it, you're already starting to knock out one of the blocks that builds up roommate mode. And we get to like put that to the side. So I encourage you to do that. Let's talk about the signs that you're in roommate mode. Now, some of them you may have already been like, okay, I can see from what you've shared. But here are the clear-cut ones. Number one, most conversations are about schedules and the project, what needs to get done, what hasn't gotten done. That's it. You might ask, how was your day? Fine. Okay, tomorrow we got to do, right? Second, you know what's on the calendar, but not what's on your partner's mind. You're very aware of what all needs to get done, but you're not really sure where's your partner's heart right now? What have they been dreaming about? What's been worrying them lately? What are they afraid of that's going to happen? The world is going through a lot of stuff. What do they think about it? Maybe they're very vocal about that, but maybe not. Is this the life they imagined having? What would they change? Our partners are so scared to share with us a lot of these answers because we'll get defensive or tell them how that could never happen or we can never afford that. Well, that's not what we want to have connection. We want to listen, not make things so practical and project mode immediately. My favorite, and I put that in quotation thing, is to watch a couple where one really shares their dream and the other one's like, but there's just no way I can make that happen. Like we don't have the money and like, how do we do that with the kids? And I stop them and I go, it's like your partner just gave you a pearl of theirs and you threw it on the ground on concrete and started stepping and scratching it all up and like just they've just given you a pearl. They didn't say make a necklace, figure this out, put it in an earring. They were like, here's a pearl of mine. enjoy it with me. It's my responsibility to decide, is this something I want to make a reality? And the moment that that partner realizes that's what the dynamic they're creating, they're like, whoa, I don't want them to feel that way. I don't want them to feel like this gift of this pearl is a problem and should be damaged. I want them to be able to share that with me. But I always think I want to give them what they want. Okay, but that's about you. And that's your pattern. When your partner shares a dream and a wish, you go straight into, I can't make that happen. I don't want to fail. So I'm just going to tell you no already. Instead of, God, that's a great dream. How beautiful. Wouldn't that be amazing? Wow. And leaving it at that without any pressure to perform or do. And I bet the more that you do that, your partner's going to open up more and you won't feel roommate mode. But if we get into that, "Ugh," I don't really know who you are and you don't feel safe to tell me who you are, roommate mode. The third one is physical affection has become less often. Okay. Well, if I don't feel emotionally connected to you, I'm not going to be like, yeah, let's go get busy. If I don't feel like there's this deep partnership between us where we really know each other and we're enjoying being each other presence, I'm not like, yeah, I'm feel so interested. No. So we're not just talking about sex, we're also talking about like holding hands, hugging, and not a pet kiss, but real kisses, making out on the couch, cuddling. Not just a foot on the person, but like really being in each other's arms. When that starts to fade away more and more and more and more, and maybe there was a time where there's the kids between you guys, if you had kids, or the dog or whatever, right? You have to be like, hey, out of the way, this is our time, protecting it. The next is you're spending time together but not connecting. A lot of couples I work with, I mean, they can sit in the same room and they don't really say much to each other. And maybe for one of them that feels good, it's like, this is connection. It feels like quality time. And I'm like, maybe. And the other one says, we're not talking about anything. And I have all these things I want to talk about, but I know if I do, I'll just make them angry. Like, oh, that's a shame because that's a missed opportunity. Just because you're in each other's presence, but your presence doesn't mean you're connecting. So when you see that, that's a sign of roommate mode. The next, you assume your partner should already know what you need. Okay, let's get real about this because I see this in a lot, and especially in women, and it frustrates me that we've been sold this crap. The only time in any relationship that I believe and truly, if we look at the research shows, there should be someone in our lives who just knows what to do. It's our mother. It's the maternal instinct. They need food. They need to be swaddled. They need to, they've got gas, whatever, like this like gut instinct of like, I just know my child and what they need. That's it. That's it. Do not create that dynamic in your marriage. Please. There's no other time where someone should just know you so well. That's great if you've got that partner who's like, oh, they bring me coffee because they just know me and they know how I like it. Awesome. But there are going to be a lot of things where they drop the ball because your responsibility in your life is to communicate your needs. It is more about you that you're uncomfortable speaking what you want and what you need than the fact that your partner can't read your mind. So get comfortable sharing what your needs and wants are so that there isn't this resentment. You know me. You know what I like. You know how I want you to do that thing. No. Let that go, please, because you are creating the roommate mode then. So break that habit. That should be one of your strategies. No more assuming that they should just know I'm going to work on communicating my needs. Okay. Next one is appreciation has become rare. Oh, gratitude is one of the toughest pieces when we're so angry and resentful. We can get really like kind of chicken or egg. Which comes first? Well, I do all these things, so I really think you should thank me. Well, I do all these things, so I really think you should thank me. Well, nobody's going to do it then. Let it go and just go into it saying, tomorrow we're going to just start, being grateful for each other. And one of the tools that I give couples from the very beginning is and we end our sessions this way. I want you to end with 3 things you're grateful for from your partner, but it can't be about things they do. And that is the hardest thing. Every first session where I offer this as a tool and I have them practice it, it is silent and it's uncomfortable. And they're like, first, they're like, well, who should go first? And I'm like, whoever wants to. And they're like, well, I got to think of something first. I can think of one thing. I'm like, no, I want three things because you partnered with this person for a reason and it wasn't just because of their doings. They are human beings. So, what is it about them you're grateful for? What is it about them maybe you love that you feel connected to? What are those things? And eventually they do share them, but you can tell they're kind of intertwined with the doings and not who they are because we've lost sight of that. We're only in project mode with our partner, and that's roommate mode. Okay. And the last one is you're functioning well, but you don't feel close. I hear this one a lot too. Yeah, we're really good at like getting the day to day done, but I don't, I mean, I don't feel close to them. I'd rather go hang out with my friends. I'd rather talk to, my best friend on the phone for hours than talk to him on the couch or talk to her, at the dinner table because it's just not enjoyable. We argue or it goes nowhere. They don't ask me any questions. I feel like I'm the only one talking. Roommate mode. So reflect for a moment. Which of all those things I just listed do you and your partner fall into? What are those patterns that you have as well? Is it one or two? Is it five or six? I mean, I gave you many, so there might be all of them. And if so, you're in roommate mode, which is okay to say out loud to each other. Hey, I think we're in roommate mode. I don't want to feel this way. I didn't get into this relationship for this. What about you? Make it about the relationship and not you're the problem that this is this way. And you can watch this video together and be like, oh, yeah, we did that. Check. Yep, that one too. It's like a bingo card, right? And this one and this one. Yeah, bingo, we've got it. We're in roommate mode. But there's the cool thing about it is roommate mode doesn't stick around if you choose to intentionally bring back connection. It's now treating each other differently and changing your patterns and how you communicate. So let's talk about what healthy couples do differently so that they avoid roommate mode or move themselves out of roommate mode. So the first one is they stay curious about each other. They ask interesting questions, not just how was your day? How did that thing go at work? How was that thing with the kids? Or, I love the dinner you made. It's things like, hey, if you could go back to school and study anything, what would you want to study? Hey, what are your deepest desires right now? What are the dreams you have? And if your partner's like, I never really get time to dream, let's make that happen this weekend. I'm going to carve out like 2 hours. I'll go take the kids or I'll take care of these things. And you just go, you can go for a walk, you can go to a cafe, whatever. And I just want you to dream because I want to hear what your dreams are. Like, thank you. Right? They're curious. They want to know each other because truly, as much as we all like to say, my partner hasn't changed, or they changed and I don't like who they are, because that's what we really mean when we're like, you're not who I married. I don't like who you've become. That's what that means. Then it's like, let me get to know who you are because you're truly not the same person. Even if you have the same habits and mannerisms, there are things that have changed, but you don't feel maybe safe to talk about those things with me. Another thing that healthy couples do differently is they talk about more than just the logistics. They are able to talk about their lives, their desires. They talk about other things going on, not just the calendar and who does what. They talk about interesting things they read or listened to, and they both want to hear each other's thoughts. It's not, well, I'm not interested in that. It's like, gosh, this interests my partner, and that matters to me because it interests them. We have lost that. We had it in the beginning of our relationship typically, but we don't have that anymore. So healthy couples have that. The third thing is they repair during and after conflict. And we've had a discussion here on my Substack about the difference between resolution and repair. I'll make sure you've got that below in this article so you can watch that video too. But repairing is not about let's get to the decision, the final decision. It's how do we remember this is about us as a team? How do we remember that this is about us coming together? That's what the key is. So they repair, they're willing to take ownership. Man, I said that thing and I wish I could take it back. I realize I just raised my voice. I'm so sorry I raised my voice. I'm sorry I said that thing you don't like. Oh, I I had good intentions, but I can see, like, it really upset you, and I'm sorry I'm making you feel like a failure right now. That is not my intention. I take that back, and I'd like to be able to talk about this in a way that feels good for you too, right? Like, these things are repair. Okay, the next one is expressing appreciation regularly, and not just about being human doings, but being human beings. Not just what you took care of and thanks for doing that thing, but thank you for who you are. Thank you for the smile you bring me each day. Thank you for making me laugh. Thank you for making my life easier just by your presence, whatever it might be. But we have to then get in tune with our partner and know them to know what it is we like about them again, what we're grateful for in them, what they bring to the table. Because we have so much resentment here that it's like a smokescreen to any of the good that's over here. And we're all focused here, but this still exists. Who they are and the goodness they bring is still there. The last one is that they protect their time to be partners, not just parents, not just teammates, but partners. They protect themselves from external family members, the in laws, everyone else's wishes, expectations, and wants, their friends. They're able to go, no, I know you guys want us to attend that thing, but you know what? We need some us time. I know that you were hoping we would take over that stuff. We just don't have capacity for that and still feel strong. So I'm sorry, we can't. Because we protect us. Your expectations and your disappointments, that's your stuff. You're a grown adult, deal with it. This is our relationship. We protect it, both of us, equally. And some of you aren't going to like to hear this, but your relationship comes first before parenting. You really have to work on the solidity of that because the kids will be gone one day. Hopefully, knock on wood, right? They'll be gone. And I have worked with the couples who waited till the kids left. It was really hard work and they regretted it. Some of them did not make it because they had waited so long and they were already half, 1 foot out the door, halfway gone, and just going, well, I said I would try. So I was here, but they didn't really try because they didn't really want to make it work because it was decades, like 20 years of baggage there that they didn't work on at a time where they could have really built the legacy of their relationship in their kids' lives by learning better communication skills. Yes, you do not have to go to couples therapy, but you do need to learn relationship skills. Everyone does. That's not a weakness. That does not mean that you're a problem or you're a failure. We all need to learn them because it's not taught in school, and most of us didn't have those good relationships in our home that we saw healthy dynamics. We saw project mode, didn't we? We saw when you disappoint me, you need to fix it instead of I need to deal with my feelings. You're annoying me, get out of my way. Hey, I'm annoyed and I'm going to work on, regulating myself. And I'm just going to ask you to be a little bit quieter, but, I'm so glad you're here, right? Like, no, we didn't have that. So we need to learn these skills in our relationship because we didn't have those things. Healthy couples know that. We got to learn these skills. These are important things. And in that, we protect our relationship. We put a boundary around our relationship. We love our kids, we love our family and our friends, but our relationship, gosh, that is a diamond that we want to like protect with everything. Yeah. Okay. So, one last thing I want to leave you with is that when it comes to how to get out of roommate mode, it is not big, grand gestures. Great that you want to go on a big trip for your anniversary. Awesome. Wonderful. Absolutely. You should do that. Do not expect it to fix everything. Yes, expect to argue on it at some point. Normal. It is not in big grand gestures that roommate mode is shifted. It is in the 2% every day that you are more intentional and more aware and more able to focus on, I want this relationship to be different. So I'm going to work on me and how I show up in my part of the pattern. So things shift between us so that our relationship is sacred and protected and taken care of. And it doesn't feel like we're just roommates because that's not what most of us signed up for. I would assume. I would assume. Okay. So again, roommate mode does not shift overnight. You will have to do the work. and especially if you've been together for decades, but I promise the work is worth it and it will not take decades to get out of roommate mode. It usually only takes about 4 to 6 months. If you're like actively working on it and you have a structured plan, this is why I created the rebuild method, literally to give people a plan of what to do and how to work through it. Because once you're intentional and you have the right tools that are practical for your busy life, progress is made. It naturally occurs. Okay, I want to wrap us up with this. Tomorrow, for those of you who are my paid subscribers, and I invite you to come and join us, you're going to be getting the roommate mode recovery guide. I'm going to be teaching you all the steps, like I would the couples I work with, to get out of this roommate mode vibe and go like, okay, how do we reconnect? Because that 2% every day is what creates lasting change. And it also allows your nervous system to feel comfortable again, being vulnerable, connecting, growing with your partner rather than whiplash 180. Let's completely change. Oh, it's not lasting. It didn't work. No, none of us want that. So, really being able to know that. So, make sure tomorrow that you tune in, come over here, get the guide. It is in the paid subscription section. But every Friday, I give you guys workbooks to do together. You can do them every week, and you get to ask me questions along the way. Hey, what about this? How should I change this? And I help guide you. So I invite you to be a part of the paid subscription here on Katie Rössler's page. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week.